Hi, everyone. Welcome to Square Circle Podcast, a community for startup and scale-up people. I'm Mario Rivas, founder, CEO, and business advisor. It's great to have you with us today. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Tiffany Shawn.
Hi, Mario. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the lovely introduction. Really excited to get into the conversation today about ways to invest, what to discuss with investment. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm delighted actually to have Andres Meirovich in the podcast. He's a leading venture capital investor, academic, a board advisor with over 20 years of experience in early stage and growth investing across LATAM, the US, and Europe. He's also a managing partner of Genesis Ventures, backing up startups in clean tech, energy, digital innovation, such as Amipass, Hotalker, Mudango, and Instacrops, and others. He also leads Avante Advisors too, an MBA in MIT, DBA graduate, very big CV, So welcome, Andres.
Thank you so much, Tiffany and Mario. I'm happy to be here and happy to answer all your questions that you want.
Fantastic. So, Andres, we love to start with a little bit of background. You've had an amazing journey, and we're going to ask you lots of questions around that. But I guess before we get into that, is there something that you'd like to share that maybe people wouldn't normally know about you, or is a bit of a funny story about your background that's really led you to where you are today?
And thank you. Well, maybe you don't know, but Chile is a country of immigrants. So my father and my mother and my grandfather and my grand came from different countries. So one from Italy, the second from Russia. So I'm a little strange mix, born and raised in Chile, but always I wanted to be a founder, an entrepreneur. And in Chile 20 years ago was very strange, to be honest. Most of the people after the school, the college, wants to work in a big company, the best, most large companies in Chile or in Latin America. And I, of course, with others, I want to start my own company. So after I'm graduate from business in the school in Chile, I work in a bank, in a large bank in Chile for 1 year. And then I opened Genesis. And Genesis started with a consulting company. We always say like a joke that we were like a McKinsey or BCG. But we're only two, my partner and me.
Mini McKinsey.
A mini BCG or mini McKinsey, but try to imagine a guy of 25 years old try to advise companies. So we partner and was a tough challenge, but it was great. And after 2 or 3 years, we started advising startups. Imagine a startup in Chile in 2006, 2007. It's different industry, completely different. Now it's very development and in terms of number of startup investment in Chile and in LATAM. But 20 years ago was completely new. So we moved from Genesis Partners, a consulting firm, to Genesis Ventures, investments firm. So we were part of the first VC funds in Chile and in LATAM. So I think this journey was to build a new industry. In Chile, of course, in Silicon Valley or in London, there's a 20, 30, 50 years old, the industry. But in Chile, we're part of the first wave of the movement. So
Right.
I think that was very tough and very challenging for me, for my partner, and for Genesis.
Yeah, and I think with your background, you've always been a citizen of the world, just with where your family came from, and then you've all come together in Chile. So it seems that you had that route that made you want to explore the world and see what's out there. Before Mario asks you a question, I've got one more. I was just thinking, because in your story, you're really bringing in what you're seeing happening in other countries and bringing that back to Chile in those early years. Was that before or after you went to MIT, or was it sort of through doing that extra study that you then brought that knowledge back?
After, I think, or during, to be honest. Why was that? Because we launched our first fund in 2012. Was a $24 million fund. We have 12 family offices from Chile. Imagine, it was really a new industry, and we were backed by the Chilean government. Chile has a very important, I think, ecosystem in terms of Corfo, that is the Chilean Development Agency, helps and support and backed venture capital funds with matching funds, basically with $1 from private money, Corfo gives you 2. So this $24 million fund was 16 from the Chilean government and 8 from LPs. And in venture capital, the largest LPs are pension funds, big family office, and big companies. And basically in Chile, on that time, no pension funds investing in VC. Family office, really a few, and the big companies, 0 investment in venture capital. So after 1 or 2 years of thinking with my partner about how we build Genesis with more funds and larger funds, we thought that it would be impossible with the same model to find only Chilean investors. So I decided I was accepted on MIT in 2007, but I can't go because I just started Genesis. So I tried again, and I went between 2014 and 2015. And my goal was try to change the value prop. In the first fund was investing Chilean investors to invest in Chilean companies. Said, okay, it's good, but it will be impossible to move forward with more funds or bigger. So my goal in Boston was I need to find, a new value prop. Since I think the first day, I noticed that most of the people in the development countries, like UK or US, didn't know much about Latin America. And basically, all the news are maybe drugs or corruption, and I don't know, and basically, that's not true. So one is, the people think that Latin America is very different, that actually is. But the people who already have traveled to Latin America, especially to Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, said it's amazing. So, first we need to show to potential investor the beautiful things that Latin American has to show, and invite to invest in Latin America through Chile with Genesis Ventures. Why was that? Because Chile, maybe always is the number 1 or number 2 in the region in terms of country in doing business rankings, in doing business. Second, we have a very important tax policy. If you are a foreign investor in Chile, you only pay 10% of withholding tax. It's very cheap. The funds pay 0 taxes. So the investor only pays 10% of withholding tax. And the third point was this government program, Corfo, that with matching funds backed the VC funds. So if you put Chile is a good country, you have tax benefits, and you have the support of the government, I think we can build a very good value prop. If you want to invest in LATAM, invest through Chile with Genesis Venture. When trying to copy maybe the Singapore model, Singapore is very important in terms of VC in the Southeast Asia. But of course, it's a very small country. All the funds are in Singapore. Most of the funds are in Singapore. And from Singapore, you invest to Malaysia, Thailand, or other countries. So the goal was the same. If you want to invest in LATAM, of course, in LATAM, Brazil and Mexico are the most important markets because they are huge. But I strongly recommend, if you want to put the fund in Chile because of all these benefits. So basically, we define this value prop, invest in LATAM through Chile with Genesis Venture, and basically we scale from 1 fund to 6 funds. Today we have investors from the UK, the US, Mexico, Israel, France, others, Chile, of course. So a lot of investors from all over the world that want to invest in LATAM, in venture capital, and in energy. We open a second vertical that was energy. So it was amazing because the first 1 year I traveled all over the world trying to show this business model. Europe, US, Asia, Middle East, try to show Chile, and all the people said, what is Chile? Where is Chile? It's very far away. But basically, when they understand all the benefits, I think they say, okay, And the first check that we had, we have several conversations with one investors from the UK, and basically we invite him to Chile. So 1 week. So we have meeting with the government, with the pension funds, with the family office, and after on Friday, he said, "Okay, I signed the check." So we have a picture of the first check.
That,
How much was that check?
$7.5 million.
Nice. Cool. So you had basically your first pot to start investing.
So, a funny thing that because of that fund was the first UK Latin American fund, I was invited to the garden party in Buckingham Palace with the Queen
amazing.
in 2019. I have privilege to be in Buckingham Palace, and
So you saw the Queen. So you saw the Queen, actually.
Yeah, a picture with the Queen.
Nice. Look at that.
I don't know if you like it or not. Picture and a very good meeting with Boris Johnson, the former prime minister.
Yeah, I remember after Brexit or through Brexit. And were you the only Chilean person in that dinner?
That year, yes. I think the garden parties every year. It's in May in Buckingham Palace, and it's every year. I have the fortune to be the only Chilean that year, but I think every year invite people that made business with the UK. That's the thing, So the Queen invite, now the King, of course, invite people that have a business relationship with the UK. So there were people from all over the world.
It's a very, very good story.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you are more like established, 20 years doing this. I don't know how many, but around 20 years, we would say. How much now is the pot that you have to invest, and how do you allocate these budgets?
Yeah, we have now roughly $600 million. We're very small if you compare to developed countries, but basically now 70-80% of the money came from foreign investors, so that's huge. I think the next challenge is to build a 2 or 3 billion company. I think we have a great opportunity. To be honest, every day, more and more foreign investors really want to invest in different countries, to diversify the risk. So now Latin America, I think more people knows about. We need to work more hard, I think, to continue showing. And I think we need more funds like Genesis to have the same goal, so we can build, joint forces and show the region, because this is not only Chile. Chile we use as a door to enter Latin America, but the goal is to sell America. We are more than 600 million people from Mexico to Chile, so it's a huge region, and Mario, you will have a lot of opportunities.
And now how do you see the venture capital landscape evolving between LATAM and Europe after all this journey? I know that you said that now this is more mature, everyone knows, but obviously with technology, all the new tools, WhatsApp and Zoom and all these communications are easier, right? And I think also we have more flights to LATAM. Actually we have now like a direct flight from London to Chile, to Santiago. So the accessibility is better with the digital transformation around the globe. Obviously, the communication and accessibility is also better. How do you see now the landscape, and which is your vision for the next 3 years in terms of LATAM and Europe working together?
I think 2 or 3 points. I think the public policy in every country, in this case, is wrong, because it's always, I will take 3 or 4 companies from Chile and will be a business trip to the UK to find investor. That is impossible, to be honest. I think you have 0 chances that a UK fund invests in a Chilean company directly. The thing is, if you build a relationship between Chilean funds and UK funds, you can co-invest. So the goal for me in terms of public policy between the UK and LATAM or Chile is to build relationship between the GPs, not the startups. Okay, because if I friend of a UK GP or managing partner of a fund, and I suggest I will invest in this company, a Chilean company that want to scale to the UK, you have more chances that that UK fund invest. So
Because you are leading the round as well.
you are leading the round, and you are a pair. You're basically a GP having a meeting with another GP, not a founder with a GP. So that's the first point. The second point is, now I'm looking and I've seen a lot of European startups. Of course, the dream is to scale to the US because it's a large market and you have all these huge funds. But to be honest, the US funds, of course, they invest in US.
Yeah.
They invest in Latin America. There's a lot of US funds investing in Latin America, a lot, because it's very close. So basically, I'm suggesting to European companies make 2 steps as a strategy, not going directly to the US. First, go from London, for example, to Latin America, and then from Latin America to the US. It's easier. Maybe you
you show more traction as well, because LATAM is undeveloped, and there is, as you said, there are so many opportunities, and the growth rates are higher, compared with Europe. Yeah, exciting news, Andres.
I'm sure, Mario, that are more US fund investing in Chilean companies than US fund investing in most European countries.
Yeah, that would be accurate. And I think, as you say, it's closer. Also, more people from the US are more likely to have traveled to Latin America than to Europe.
Course.
So that literal sort of geographical hurdle can be a real factor. Listen, you talk about this, it's really fascinating, Andreas. I'm learning a lot myself. With your funding portfolio and approach, just correct me if I'm wrong, but so you're investing only in Chilean companies, or do you also expand that investment worldwide as well?
In this market, we said smart money. It's not only money. You need to help or support the companies. So basically, we define that Latin America is our market. We can invest in Latin American companies that want to scale to the world, or global companies that want to scale to Latin America. So, for example, if a UK company want to scale to India, Genesis Venture is not a good partner. If a UK company want to scale to Latin America, Genesis Venture is a good partner. We want companies that wants to operate, or they already operate, in Latin America, because the smart money, because we are here, and we have a network here. We have a co-investment with a lot of family office, other VC funds, other companies, So our, value prop for the founders is we know Latin America.
So that's probably number one on a pitch to you for a company that was to approach yourself and Genesis. What would be other key things if you're looking for a really strong pitch from a founder that you would like to see in those meetings?
Yeah, I think, of course, the team is very important. Of course, they needs to be full-time. This is a full-time job. They are very simple things, but in the real life, they are not simple. A lot of people say, no, I want to work 12 hours per day because I have my other job. And if you put me $5 million, I will left my old job and I will be full-time. No. So basically, a good team. Remember that I think 5 or 7 years ago, the solo founder was great, and you have Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos. After the WeWork scandal, I think most of the VC funds said, no more solo founder. We want that. So a solo founder maybe is a little bit risky.
Building too many bubbles.
And basically, the balance of power with one only founder is a little bit strange. We want really a team of 3 founders, one in management, one in commercial or revenues, and the other in the tech part, or the CTO, the CMO, and the CEO, and a good cap table, and people with really wants to eat the world. Maybe this phrase is very obvious, and with all this, ecosystem is every day, all people say we want people to eat the world. but it's true, and it's not easy to find, and remember other thing that now I think we value a lot people with experience, because between 2020 and 2021, with this bubble during the virus, the COVID, most of the managers or the founders manage in the with because big rounds every 6 months, $10 million, $50 million, $100 million. So they give a lot of benefits. You can work 4 days per week. You have unlimited holidays. All this, or Wednesday is a beer and pizza day, and a yoga day on Fridays. So was that type of leader needs to manage with a lot of money. But after that, since 2022, no more huge rounds. Of course, OpenAI or other has a lot of rounds. But you see, and you take apart these huge companies or new companies, the rounds on the amount of money that have been invested go down in the last 3-4 years. So now you need people that wants to build a company, and a company not for maybe the next round, maybe for the next 5 or 10 years. So it's a different view. You want a manager. Of course, this is venture capital. This is not private equity or other things. You need to grow, you need to scale, but you need to manage a company, not a kids party. And when you have beer and yoga and blah blah blah, it's a kids party. It's not a real party.
Yeah, true. Although I do miss those days where we used to go and have the massage person in the office and things.
Oh, no more. It's nice, but
yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, because I remember that. Well, now I am the startup world, so I don't have that anymore. Andres, small question about how many investments have you done in your life? Just a rough number.
50, maybe.
50.
50, yeah, 50.
Okay. And now you're saying that you have a pot of 600 million. And for how many years do you expect to spend that?
Yeah, the 600 million is the stock, because basically I put it since Funds 1, and Funds 1 is already gone. Typically, we invest capital between zero, of course, up to $3.5 million. In Latin America, maybe it's Series A, pre-Series A. In the US, it's very early, but then in LATAM or in a European community that want to scale to LATAM, maybe it's pre-Series A, Series A. Yeah, and we are launching funds. We have money. We have money to invest, and of course, I think in the region have a lot of opportunities, and have the money, I think, and we have the partners to work on that and try to scale the business here in Latin America.
And are you still 2 people in the team? Because I imagine that.
No, we are 3 partners, but the team is already 25, I think, and we have people all over the world, basically. From Chile.
I was thinking how you're going to manage, all these deals and the investor funds and all this, the relationship, politics, everything by yourself and your partner.
Mario, to be honest, my biggest challenge now is how to build my company. My company in terms of, I feel like a founder, I start, as I mentioned, with 25 years old. So to build a fund from Chile, that is a new industry, is like to build a startup, So as a Genesis Venture, we are in a growth challenge. Of course, all the people know my partner and me, and if you talk about Genesis in Chile or in LATAM, Andres and Rodrigo. And the first month was good for the ego, all the people know me. But after the first month, to build a good team is not easy. And venture capital, is a tough industry, because you need a lot of skills in terms of, you need to be very analytical to analyze the business, the startup, to select companies, to manage the companies. But in the same time, you move to the right and you need to make the fundraising process. And you have relationship after you start your fund with 2 kinds of people, the investors and the founders. And they are not easy people, because the investors is high and the ego founders are high too. So you need to
plus Andres' ego is very high too.
I know how ego. To be honest, amigo, because with my kids and my daughters and my wife, I don't have it. Zero ego because
um, and now moving a little bit more into the board advisor spectrum, because after like these years, more than 50 investments, I imagine that you were sharing the board with different people in different startups, managing the politics, also like close the next round, pushing to the next rounds, and looking at the KPIs. Can you speak a little bit about that, and how has been your experience so far?
basically, when you're a board member in a company that you already invest, because I'm a board member of the companies that our fund invest, and we discuss with the founders a lot of time. What do you want from me as a board member? And basically, there are three things. One, to raise the next round. Basically, I'm trying to help the companies to raise the next round. Second is to try to help to have revenues. I have contact with maybe clients and other stuff. And third is try to help the founder or the CEO to make the tough decisions, to close a country, to open a country, to fire someone of the team, to fire maybe a co-founder that you start in the day one, but after 3-4 years, the relationship is not good, or the KPIs of the other co-founder is not good, but he or she is my friend, I don't want to fire him. Okay, we are the board, we need to make the tough decisions, and make the tough decisions. So that, I think, three things are the most important: to raise the next round, to have new clients, and to help to make the tough decisions.
Tiffany,
It's a very good capture. Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, I'm a board advisor for a couple of businesses, and there's certainly the issues that we talk about and we face sort of day to day as well. So it's nice to see that I'm on the right track. But yeah, I think raising rounds and getting new clients is really essential. And a lot of board advisors, I think, don't realize the import of that. I think they sort of think, oh, this is a cute way for me to make a bit of pocket money and impart some of my business knowledge that I've acquired over time, without realizing that certainly for the size of these businesses, that is a big component of it. There's obviously a step change when you go to much larger businesses or publicly listed firms where there's that huge governance aspect, and those sort of board roles are much more related to more, how do you then manage shareholder value, or how do you report back to your investors in that way, managing risk and compliance. But I think at this level that we're talking about, that's absolutely critical, and you've captured that beautifully, Andres. Thank you. One thing I think as well is how do you manage, like going back to that conversation about all the egos of the people in the room, is there a way that you have developed how you build trust and transparency in those conversations to really maximize what you need to get out of each party?
In terms of when I in the fundraising process, or?
Well, just, yeah, I guess in terms of fundraising, or how, I guess, because I'm a HR person, so I always come at Mario is our numbers guy, he's the business guy, and I'm the HR. But my question, Andres, is because I'm really curious about how you manage to identify if there's a person that you think, yes, this is a business I want to invest in, or this is a partner I want to work with. Even with the big ego, how do you build trust between one another?
After a lot of years, I think now when I want to invest, I try to call 10 people around him, or former business associates, former partners, former colleagues, to understand the personality of the founder. That's the first.
Wow.
Yeah, and the second point, after we invest, how to build trust and transparency, I think, is to be very honest since the first day. I think we are a fund. We will invest you this amount of money. I will be part of I want to be part of the investment committee. These are the KPIs that I always check in every board meeting. So if you send me the info, we will be fine. And if you want that I will go to the war with you, I will go with you. But don't lie to me and give me all the information that I ask since the first day. So I try to no change. When you buy a car, a Ferrari, you know what you are buying. If you buy a Fiat, you know what you're buying. If you have an investment from Genesis, you know what you will have. So you will have a lot of support, 24/7. So my WhatsApp is 24/7 open. But of course, I ask information and I want all the transparency in terms of, hey, you need to show your numbers because I want to help you. A lot of time the CEO or the founders try to not to show all the info because they say, oh, I have a board meeting and the board members will punch me because the results are not good. With you, I'm your partner.
Yeah.
So if you show me the real numbers, we can find a solution together. And that's why, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to help you in the tough decisions. So I always try to say, we are partners. Of course, I'm a board member, investor, and you are the CEO. But you are a partner too. You have shares in the company and more than me, usually. So we're in the same team.
That resonates a lot with me when I was reporting to the board, actually, and we had a tough situation in Chile, and we were reporting to the board like the performance of the 3 factories, and we were doing a big transformation in one factory. And I had to speak with so many people, like 400 people, 500 people, to do all these changes, like workers, from workers to senior managers. And after trying 6-9 months, we couldn't make it happen. And then we had to report to the board that, right? And I was like so nervous because I knew that they were going to say, "Okay, Mario, we have to shut it down and rebuild and make a new factory there." So I had to fire 500 people of 700, 500 after being convinced them about all this transformation. It was like a very tough decision. But as you mentioned, this is like trust, right? And be transparent with the numbers. It was tough, but it was, in the end, was like very transparent with the board. The board said, okay, tough decision. We have to shut it down. We have to let go 500 people in the factory, leave just 200. And then I had to go and have a meeting with 200 people and the 300 and talk to them and then say goodbye to everyone, like one by one. And the experience that I had there is basically what you mentioned: transparency, genuine, and show how you are since day one. Because even if it's a good news or very bad news, they know how you are, that you're transparent, and it is what it is. You can't do anymore. It's like you try to do it together with the board and also with the team, with my team, but that was my team. So it was. I understand your point, and I feel that it's a complicated topic for the startups because how they don't know, the investor, because it takes time to get into this relationship, right? And while you build the relationship, it takes probably 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So in that period, at the beginning, is when it gets tough because you are expecting to grow, you're expecting to get revenue, close deals, making they're not doing it, they don't have the traction, and then you see that you are spending the money, right? They are not getting, the return of the investment. So that's the tough one for them. It's like how I can trust actually the investor and tell them the truth. What I see so far from your background and from your profile, it's easy to talk to you, right? And say like, let's make this happen together. Wow, that's as I was like sort of like digesting and thinking what you were saying. Which has been the best investment that you have done so far, and how was like from the board perspective when you say, okay, we did a really good investment, we are growing. I don't know if you were able to do the exit in the end. Do you have one case in your head?
I think I have 2 or 3 examples. I can now say the name of the companies because I have a lot of companies, so I don't have any problem.
No favorite children.
Yeah, one of my favorite children. But I think good founders. I think not good business, good founders. When the founder, as I mentioned, when they try to manage in adversity, you will see the good managers and not the good managers in the bad times. So I think when you pass the bad times, the sky is the limit. So we have very good exits after crisis, basically. And after this 2020 2020 and 2021 period after COVID, after this bubble, I think we are in a lot of companies. We have more revenues now, and with 30% of the cost. That's amazing. How the team changed, how the team put the paint, the water to build this new future, how they changed the mindset, this yoga joke, and now this war case. It's really nice to have good relationship with your partners. That's for me now. I think I'm here in the business, and you have good business. You can lose money and you can gain money. But more important is to have good relationship with people. That's, I think, my goal now. I want to, of course, if you have a bad relationship and it's a good business, you can lose money. This is venture capital. So it's part of the job. But to have relationship with decent people, with nice people, with the honest people, I think is the best. Because you are working 24/7, so
That's true.
is the most important. Of course, I want to have money and to get money and to have exits, but it's like football, you can win 1-0, but 90 minutes you are in your own part of the court, or you can attack 90 minutes and win 1-0. So for me, it's attack and to have a good relationship with the founder and the same team and go to the world together.
I love that. That's a really beautiful message. I think good people doing good things, is what we should all be achieving every day. Just as we're in this very nice part of the conversation, is there any, I guess, hot tips or key lessons, words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Yeah. First is take the time to choose your partner. For me, I have 2 partners in Genesis, and they are amazing. When you know that they are amazing in the bad times. So take your time to choose your partners. That's one. The second is choose your life. I have a lot of meetings with managers from big companies that have a great salary, but they are not happy, to be honest. So the pressure to have money, to have a social status, follow your dreams. I think for me, this is my dream, to have my company to help business to growth. When I invest in a very early stage, and after 2 years they have a new round of $5 or $10 million, is amazing. When you find that now the founder has a new house or kids or a new car or new stock plan and whatever, you say, we're doing something important. So take your time to choose your partner, take your time to and follow your dreams. And the third one, and maybe it's the most important, your family. You build a good relationship with your wife, in my case, and kids. I think is amazing. I try to drop every day my kids to the school and pick up every day my kids to the school. And I try to answer 24/7 the WhatsApp of my clients, investors, founders, whatever. So we need to balance that. There's no balance, but you need to try to work in all that thing. The family is really, really important, and we know very close. I have a chat that a meeting with the leader of a Shark Tank. The Shark Tank, that is a TV show in the US. That guy told us you need to choose the business or your family, and he said, I choose the business. Divorced 2 or 3 times. He's a very famous guy. I don't want to know to show his name here, but you will find who is. And to be honest, of course, maybe if you want to be a billionaire and you want to fly there, well, yeah, okay, you don't have family. But in my case, I think I put a lot of effort to give a lot of time to my kids and to my wife, because it's the most important. When you have hard times, you have only your family, to be honest.
Yeah. I think, Andres, as well, if I can bring a bit of social psychology, neuroscience into the conversation, everything you've hit on is when we talk about resilience, which is really important for founders going through the hard times. One of the areas that can really help someone have the most resilience is having community or family around them. And so I think if you're going through those difficult moments and you're totally alone, or you don't have a very strong, trusted circle around you, it's very difficult to navigate through those situations, and it can really be detrimental to your mental health. And so, yeah, I think I know the person that you're speaking about from Shark Tank, and I think that person maybe doesn't realize that they probably do have maybe not a traditional family, but they probably have a form of a family around them that has helped them through those resilient times, because I'm sure that they have faced those moments.
Wow, the time went very, very fast. Well, thank you, Andres, for accepting the invitation to the podcast. Honestly, I feel proud of what you are doing. I'm Chilean too. And you started a business when, this was very immature in LATAM, also in Chile. You started to do the connections between Chile and around the globe in terms of venture capital. Then you move all the way to connect this in Europe, to build the fund, build the relationships, probably some politics as well to influence the government, how to improve the schemes, to make it more accessible for other investors around the globe, and some very good, experiences, lesson learned. And I see that you are a people person, very, very transparent, who cares about, who is in front of you, who is beside you, who is in your back as well. And that's very important, as you said, like to build relationships and for mental health, for building businesses, and also for growing your inner cycle. And I believe that for sure you have a wonderful family and also very good friends, very humble, down to earth, and yeah, very good to hear from you. We learn a lot. Thank you so much, and we are going to try to catch up with you probably next year to see how's everything, where we can dig probably a little bit more about the startups, what you're doing in mining, clean energy. That Chile is one of the biggest country in terms of clean energy and renewables and all of that. So that's another conversation. Thank you so much. I don't know, Tiffany, would you like to say something, to say goodbye to Andres?
Oh, you've captured it beautifully, Maro. Thank you, Andreas. You've just really set the scene to go ahead and have a wonderful day. And I think we will take all of this feedback and great advice that you've shared with us. And I think everyone will be a lot better for it. So thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, and have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Cheers.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao. That's all for today's episode. A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journey and insights. If you enjoyed this conversation, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or LinkedIn to stay connected with our upcoming episodes. I'm Mario Rivas with Tiffany Shown. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.